packed his bags on a sunny morn, left his loved ones, heartache was born. A uniform on, he stood so proud, said goodbye to his family in the crowd. With every step, he felt the weight, fighting for freedom and unsealed fate. Images haunting him, shadows that creep.
I guess I'm waiting.
Too heavy to keep. Now there's a war at home, deep in his soul, where the battles rage on.
You're on, Deb.
Yeah, I know it echoes. I can't hear anything. It's just an echo. I'm gonna go out. I'll be right back.
Of the ones that he loves, but they can't see the scars, can't see what he's made of. With a drink in his hand and a song in his heart, he drinks to old Jason.
It'll be fine.
It tears him apart. Around the table, laughter fills the air, but he's lost in the silence, a ghost in a chair. They talk of the future, dreams yet to chase, but he's stuck in the past, no comfort, no grace. He battles the visions, the cries in the night, trying to shield them from his internal fight. Most days he sweeps it deep down inside, but there's no escaping memories that hide. Now there's a war at home, deep in his soul, where the battles rage on and the wounds take their toll. He's back in the arms of the ones that he loves, but they can't see the scars, can't see what he's made of. With a drink in his hand and a song in his heart, he drinks to old Jason. It tears him apart. And then one night in prayer he cried out for peace, holding on to this pain. Lord, please give me release. And in the silence he felt a warm glow, a brotherhood gathered, the strength they bestow. They'd also seen battles, fought demons inside. In the fellowship of brotherhood he found a new stride. So now he's learning to let it all be, to share the load with those who can see. Together they rise with scars that connect, knowing this journey requires deep respect. He's not just a soldier, but a man who believes that healing is real when you fight what deceives. With his brothers beside him, he's finding his way in the war at home. sacrifices made because of your pain. Freedom will never fade.
Okay, can you guys hear me?
Veterans, active duty. Are you carrying something nobody else can see? Have you tried to fill that emptiness with alcohol,
Yes.
pills, work, anger, isolation, only to wake up feeling just as lost? Are you tired? Tired of fighting battles long after the uniform comes off? Maybe you've been told to just suck it up. Maybe you've convinced yourself nobody understands. And you're at the point where you're ready to give up. You don't have to fight alone. Freedom at a Price, an American military family, have partnered together to bring hope, healing, and purpose to those who have served. Real people, real conversations, real hope. This could be the step that changes everything. Every Wednesday, 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern. We got your six. Because heroes need to be rescued too.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
I guess we have new technology. We're in. Thank you. I see everybody's here, I think, as best can be. Hi, Rebecca, Michelle, Mary, Lisa, Mike, Rose. Not sure who the other AMF6 people are. I think we're probably good to go. Stand by, please, and I'll be right here. Give me 1 minute, okay? Sorry about that, guys. How's everybody doing? We good? I'm going to start this meeting off, and I think, Ben, if you're agreeable to any of these meetings we do, I think I'd always like to
Recording in progress.
start out with you, Ben, at Freedom at a Price to say hello and maybe start us off with a prayer.
Absolutely. Thanks for putting in the hard work, Deb. And so today I got a brief, like, 5-minute message, and I'll open us up in prayer, and then we can just go where it goes from there. So the title of this is When It Gets Quiet. And a lot of people struggle with this. And so for a lot of veterans, the hard part isn't when we're busy. We know how to be busy, right? If you give us a mission, if you give us a problem, if you give us something that's broken, or you give us somebody that needs help, we'll all figure it out. And the problem is when everything gets quiet, right? The family goes to bed, the phone stops ringing, the job is done, there's no mission to prep for tomorrow morning. And that's when you sit on the couch and your mind decides to pull out every single after action report from the last 20 years at the same time. The things that you did, the things that you didn't do, the people that you missed, the people that you've forgotten, the decisions that you wish you could change. So what do we do when we're idle and our minds start to go somewhere that it shouldn't? Well, Philippians 4:8 says, finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, noble, right, pure, lovely, and admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. This is going to be where you control what you feed your mind. You may not control the first thought that comes through the wire, but you don't have to keep feeding it. You know, some of us will sit in the dark and replay the same memory 50 times, and then we wonder why that thought and that memory gets louder every single time. We need to think about what is true. For me, I open up God's word, I turn on worship, I pray, I get up and I move, and sometimes I even need to pick up the phone and call a buddy. But we need to give our minds something true to work with. The second part is that not every thought is friendly. 2 Corinthians 10:5 says, we demolish arguments and every pretension that sets itself up against the knowledge of God, and we take every thought captive and make it obedient to Christ. Most of us in this crowd, talking about veterans, and I know there's some first responders out there, we understand the idea of identifying something before we trust it. So why do we trust every thought that comes into our own heads? You know, the thoughts that are like, you're worthless, or the best days are behind you, or nobody needs you anymore, or nobody understands you. People would be better off without you, right? We need to stop and identify those things. And does it line up with what we were taught? Does it line up with what God says? And if it doesn't, we need to take the command authority back and take that captive. The third thing, extremely important. What do we do when we're downrange and we're overwhelmed? We call for backup. Galatians 6:2 says, carry each other's burdens, and in this way you will fulfill the law of Christ. Here's the crazy part. Some of us, we trusted people that we barely knew, and we went into some nasty places with them, right? But we'll go home and we'll sit at 2:00 in the morning and refuse to make a phone call because we don't want to bother somebody. And I mean, I've been guilty of that myself, but brothers and sisters, make the phone call. And to the spouses and the family members out there, when somebody who is normally loud gets quiet, lean in, ask twice, sit there. You don't have to fix everything, but you might need to involve a friend in this. But sometimes you just need to help carry the weight. So the simple takeaway on this before we pray is feed your mind truth, identify and capture the lies, and do not be afraid to call for backup. Because when the mission stops and it gets quiet, you're not defenseless. And I know you know this, but I'm going to remind you that you were never designed to fight alone. Let's pray. Lord, I thank you so much for this. Oh, goodness, this opportunity to gather together to, Lord, to invite the folks who just don't have a place to call home to come here and hang out with each other and be themselves. Lord, we just ask that your spirit would rule and reign here, that God, that the people who come here would be able to get the help that they need. And Lord, that they would be willing to get that help. And so, Lord, I just thank you for this opportunity. And it's in the name of Jesus that I pray this. Amen.
Amen. You know, you always come through with the right message at the right time. I know, at least for me. So thank you, Ben, because I would like this to be exposed to thousands of people who sit and do exactly what you're telling them not to do, based on Bible verse, based on history, based on fact. But when you're alone at night, and no matter what your sadness is, I know I do it. You just feed your own anxiety to the tune of I can't sleep. It affects your days, it affects your family, it affects your relationships. And you made that all sound so easy and so simple. Anybody else got any input about that opening statement from Ben? It's a thumbs up, right, Lisa? Okay, so we're trying tonight. You know, this is all new for us, so we're trying to figure out what to do best on social media. If I am not mistaken, Lisa, maybe you can confirm. I think we're streaming live on, it's probably just on my Facebook page. We tried this very last minute. The recordings go over to our YouTube page.
So it's actually on AMFGy6 page, our
Is
American
it?
Military Family. Yep,
And is it coming in live as we speak?
it is.
So
Yep.
this is all very good. Do people have the opportunity to watch this? We leave it up. They have an opportunity to watch it at any time they want.
Yes. And same with the YouTube. Right now on YouTube and Facebook, they'll have that opportunity. If they can't join us now, they can go back and watch.
I love it. So let's get real about the topics that we can address out here. Most of you all know our mission is prevention of veteran and first responder suicide. How and what do we do to treat that? We address the 7 triggers most critical to what, after our many years doing this, we have concluded that are a direct result of traumatic brain injury, post-traumatic stress disorder, often followed by self-medication, drugs, addiction issues, often causing relationship dissonance with significant others, spouses, things of that nature, extended family, often leading to financial assistance. And at the end of the day, why can't we just get those 100% benefits from the VA without having to fight? But at the end of the day, you need to fight to get whatever ounce of a benefits that you're entitled and have earned. And so when you go down any of those avenues, it's a myriad. I would tell you that historically, over the years, since we've been running intrusive interventions, talking to I don't know how many veterans and families, each with their own story, but all with the same theme. Most have 5 of the 7 triggers that we have attributed to first responder and veteran suicide. So the question is, if you know what the recipe is to get you to the other side, why is it so hard to reach this population that represents less than 0.5% of the entire population? Why is it so hard for them to hear the solutions? Anybody got any thoughts on that question?
Pride.
Pride?
Pride is a huge thing. You know, you're supposed to be the tough one, the hero. You're not supposed to need help. You're supposed to help everybody else.
Well, why did you finally reach out?
Well, first off, because I was looking for help for my husband at the time, but when I first initially reached out all around to get myself help in 2018, I knew that I was either going to die or I was going to get help. Those were my only 2 options at that point. And so I decided I wanted to live. I knew that there was so much more to live for, but I didn't know how to find it. And so I reached out to the right people and did what they said, tried everything 3 times. And, you know, all of a sudden, hey, they might not be so wrong.
Hey, Mike, what's the reason why you were reluctant to reach out, or why did you finally decide to go get the kind of help that you had earned?
Probably a little bit of pressure from the beautiful wife. Um, um,
That's a very good thing, though, isn't it?
it is. It is. I'm not complaining. Um, you know, after so many times of different attempts, different internal battles, I realized that there was, I guess, no other way. It's the easiest way to do it.
And Rebecca, in your case, with Daniel, what made
Hey,
you
Betty.
finally decide?
I was at the end of my marriage. I was done. I didn't think there was any hope for Daniel and I didn't think he was going to change. I didn't think that he cared about our family. I, we were married. We're going on 17 years. And 2 years ago, when we came to you for the intervention and you helped us and you showed us hope, and he walked up and said, "I'm sober." And I thought, this is never going to happen. He'll never do this. And here we are 2 years later, still sober. Went to Marcus Institute, learned about his traumatic brain injuries. Um, he's communicating, he's doing therapy, he's doing speech and physical and occupational and everything that he needs to do to be a better husband, to be a better man. And I can say that this is the first year of our marriage that we're both happy. We're getting ready to buy our first home together. We're
Wow.
we're just fantastic. We can't, I never thought we would get to this point ever. I never thought we would be here.
I think that's a very fair observation that most people have. First, you have to overcome the fear of taking that step to reach out. It's so easy to say, I quit, I give up. And yet, it's interesting that in the cases we represent, and certainly those on the screen, it was a spouse that got them to go start looking in their own mirror and doing something about it. And how it came. In Lisa's case, she was a first responder. She went through all kinds of hell. Some of you have the worst stories I've ever heard in 21 years. I kid you not. There are variations of stories at all different levels and tragedies. And after dealing with a fallen, as Michelle well knows, it just, there's no comparison about, well, he had it worse off, she had it better than me. You don't understand. The recipe is in coming to a place where you stop digging your hole, you find your floor, and you are convinced you need to do something about it. If it had not worked, at least you would have said, we tried everything we could. And sometimes you're so spent over the years of discussing and not really getting anywhere, or people being afraid to take that step. My hope, my prayer, my strong belief is that the recipe is right here in a room like this, because everybody's got a story. They're not the same. Your upbringings, your families, that dynamic, money, country, service to country, things that you saw, did, trained for, came home, less than 0.5% serving the country. How can they understand? And I just find it astounding that the people on a call like this don't ever quite understand how powerful you all are, because it takes tremendous courage to come on a screen like this. I don't care if people want to hide their identity. I don't care if they want to lie about who they are, as long as they want to come on and they want to hear what you went through. And so by you guys sharing, it's the first step to a guarantee. If you have prayer and faith, I don't know how you get by without it. But thank you so much to Freedom at a Price and Ben for all you do and have gone through, and why it's such a powerful influence on others, and the things you're doing over at Freedom at a Price. This is how we get on top of this kind of trauma, because that's what it is. It is trauma. And so what we do, how we move forward, it's kind of as simple as if you lose a loved one. Do you have to go through that alone? Well, I'd like to hope not anymore, when people know that they have people they can reach out. But sadnesses and tragedies and financial issues and mental emotional issues and traumas and death, unexpected or otherwise, deployments, departures, away from the family. Are we ever going to be able to reunite to what we had or what we hope to have? You guys are all a perfect example of why it works. Because you all fought. You all fought to the tune of, I'm not living like this anymore. And Rebecca, when you talk about Daniel now a couple of years later, I always say that guy scared the crap out of me, because he decided to do that at our intervention. And it's like, holy God, what are we going to do? what are we going to do? But he did it. And he had support of other people. And you had support from the ladies. And you're watching this new beginning, before all of our eyes. Life is very fascinating, ladies and gentlemen. And at the end of the day, I hope people will, if nothing else, and I'll certainly talk to our tech people here about how we can get a copy of this in bigger distribution. But this isn't about me talking about what the charity is about. It's about you guys talking about your lives and where you were and what you had to go through to get to a different place. And why is it worth sharing with other people? Because you've witnessed where you were, where you're going, where you've been, and your new normal to where you want to go to. There's nothing really magical about it. it's just like-minded humanity reaching out to those that are always there to answer the call for other people or country or service, but they don't really realize how powerful they are and how their influence will affect other people. So anybody got any great ideas about how we can spread this wealth? I'm not a social media person. I don't care for it. I appreciate what it can do. And that's why I try to utilize it. But it's a full-time job. And Lisa and Rose, I appreciate what everybody does behind the scenes. But it's difficult when you start to set something up and people say, I want to be a part of it. And then you don't want to share it. I can't share your stories for you. The way this works is by you speaking your truth and hoping somebody else listens and does something about it and decides to come on and speak their story. Because it's really no different what we do at an intervention than actually what we can do on this public forum. You guys have any feedback about that? Are you uncomfortable joining? Do you think other people will want to be here?
I
What do we
think
have to
that
do?
one thing that we definitely need to remember is that, it is live, but there is that option that people still have to be able to watch it afterwards. And, we can see if people are watching it, we can see how many times the videos hit, and knowing that in the background, maybe some of these people are not ready to reach out for the help right now, but it's that seed that's planted. And I know that Ben talked about that a few weeks back, and it's huge, just to remember that it's on YouTube, you can see it on Facebook, you can see it on TikTok, you can see it on all these different platforms. But I think one thing that for us that we need to do is we need to start posting phone number as to, hey, call if you're in help that in need of help, like we don't have anything saying that unless they go to our page, but that's a side thing that we can worry about.
I would tell you, we had a recent case this week that was incredibly intense. And by the grace of some really good people, I say grace because they came through for us in a way, in an urgent way, where we had to try to break through the system and get this guy the benefits, get him where he needed to be, people on standby to get him. I can tell you that happened. Sadly, what I can't tell you is that in that case, he was lying to us. We busted hard to get him to the destination. The destination accepted, approved. The VA accepted, approved. We had him an hour and a half drive away, and he was about 20 minutes away from his destination when he blew it. And he's in jail now. And I don't know how to help him. I'm not going to try to help him again. Does that sound cold? Probably. Probably. But until you come back and at least convince this charity that you're serious and you're not here to spin wheels of all kinds of people and related services that are busting it for you, then I say figure it out. Am I proud of that? Not really. But at the end of the day, I'm here to tell you we're not messing around. We're not messing around.
So the thing is, Debbie, you can only help the people who want the help. You're never going to be able to help the people who don't want the help. They have to want it just as much as you do. If they don't want it that much, they're just going to keep blowing their chances.
So what
Sadly,
was
that's
it?
the reality.
What was it with you and Will? Who was the one that broke, or who was pushing harder to get him where he is today?
Me.
Yeah, exactly.
So sometimes you have to have that person like in your field. And if that person doesn't have somebody else in their field that they're related to or connected to in some way, shape, or form, it's really, really hard because you have to have that, because you can have all the support in the world, but if you go back home into the same environment, most of the time it's not gonna stick. You have to have that same person who's willing to ride the same roller coaster with you.
Well, congratulations to you. You're a very powerful woman. And it takes that. Lisa, certainly Rebecca, you all, you all have this where you say, that's not good enough. That's what makes you very powerful people. It's so easy to not want to set them off or make them mad, but if you're doing something that's to their detriment, is that really love and care? So sometimes it forces you to enter that zone that is very uncomfortable. Yesterday, I don't know, hell, it was, 3 o'clock in the morning, I think yesterday or day before. And you're laying there going, you got to be kidding me, man. You got to be kidding me. And if we care about it more than they do, well, that's where I've got it. Call me back when you're serious. And I mean, damn serious, or don't bother to call me back at this charity because I gave you everything you had. The charity gave you everything. Our support system gave you everything. What more can we give? It's got to come from you. It's got to come where the veteran says, I don't want to live like this anymore. The first responder says, I'm worthy of this. We're first responders, you go hiding away. Why? You think your service is any less than that of going into combat? That you ever think about a first responder, how many things they see in the course of an 8-hour shift? My brother was a cop forever. And I remember him talking about the sound of putting his gun away at night and his wife hearing the Velcro strap. So when he unstrapped it, it meant he was leaving. And you hope and pray you hear that strap get sealed when he comes home from a shift. Because as a first responder, you never know what you're going to see. You never know what you're going to get into. And how many veterans came home not knowing what to do with their lives. So what do? They become first responders. And then you compound exponentially all that trauma, certainly not drama, trauma. And then we expect them to be normal to our standards as a civilian who has the privilege to complain about the weather, complain about their job. We all have that characteristic. But is it really something you can compare to the heroism of the less than 0.5%? I'm very proud that we're doing this Vietnam reunion the end of August. It's about 60 years late, if you know what I mean. But it's not too late for the ones who are coming. And we actually have somewhere around, I don't know, 50, 60 coming, something like that. Was Nathan Hrushka saying hello, but I'm not able to make it tonight. Great guy, by the way. It's just fascinating stuff.
I had a thought. I have only been on here a couple times, but I was wondering, is there ways that you could set it up to where like Daniel and I, Lisa and Mike, etc., couples that, we've been through all of this once a week, maybe get both of the couples on to explain, and do a recording and,
Yeah.
that was just a thought.
No, I think it's a great idea. Look, guys, we could pare these down to couple therapy. Let's hear what a wife has to say, a spouse, significant other, someone who loves the veteran or the first responder. Let's see what the story is between the two of them. Because again, it's your story and someone else is going to identify with it. We all have sadnesses and happy things that happen in our life. People get old and die, family members. There's so many fears and anxieties that we can address because it's humanity. You say, well, like-minded humanity. America's heroes are all like-minded humanity, but they try to blend into a world where 99.5%, many appreciate, some don't. We are living in a polarized world today. I don't think anyone can deny that. Everybody's got a political opinion. We watch the news, we get triggered, we get frustrated. But at the end of the day, that stuff can compound exponentially and knock you out. And so I love that idea, Rebecca, and we can do that. And I'm hoping to get it to a place where we know our story, the people on this call. We know the story because you all stepped forward and said, I'm not living like this anymore. Your spouses did the same thing. And that's a really big deal. Lisa, Mike, you got a hell of a story about the VA, one that's incomprehensible to me. I think the worst I've ever heard in 21 years. But you fought through it and you fought together and you helped and cured each other as best you can as you went through this terrible long, 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 brutal thing. Do you want to open your kimono and share it? Because you got a story. There's going to be somebody, it's just like the intrusive interventions. Why did they work? Because in that room, you have a room full of people who don't know each other, get to know each other, don't want to open up their worst anxieties, fears, memories, traumas, upbringings, any of that stuff. But I think those of you who have attended, and most of you have, an intrusive intervention, there's always somebody in that room that's better off and worse off than you, whatever their situation may have been. And until you open up and share that, it doesn't seem possible. Michelle, she's still on the line. Michelle, you know where the guys from your unit were. You know that some of them have faced the trauma. You know that some of them in all these years have not. I know a couple of those guys because of you. I know how badly they need it, how much they could have benefited from the time we did that walk across America. We walked across America, guys. Do you believe that? Like 100 years ago, we walked from Fort Carson, Colorado to the Middle East Conflicts Memorial Wall in Marseilles, in Illinois. Dan and Michelle lost their son, Kenny, and wanted to see his name on that powerful wall. They not only did that, that was one of the most powerful experiences of my life. Who would have thought something like that? Because you know what? It was the less than 0.5% who came out to support us. Some towns recognized this family. Some people honored this family in a very beautiful way. We had a Marine come out one day and he saw us walking down the road and he handed me a bag of his change and said, I wish I could do more. But he took all the change out of his ashtray or glove compartment or whatever it was and said, I just want you to know I appreciate you and what you're doing. Kind of amazing, right? I felt bad taking all his change. We tried to return it to him and he wouldn't have any of it. Michelle,
Sorry, I got kicked out, so I didn't hear when you said my name. I tried to turn on the recorder and I got a new phone, and you know me, and Rose knows me. Me and technology are not best of friends.
we
So
know
I
Michelle.
apologize. That's why you guys never let me touch anything electronic. So
I
sorry
was-
about that. I
That's
missed
right.
most of
I
what you
was-
said.
I was telling him about the walk across America and the
Oh,
people that came out to honor you. Remember the kid when we were walking down the diagonal highway? We were still in Colorado, and the Marine kid emptied his ashtray because it had loose change in it. And
yep.
he put it in a bag and wanted us to take it. That's not the person you wanted to take the money from, you know? And so, you know, we have been so blessed with Mortensen Construction and Fortis Construction. These companies have saved this charity by doing these clay shoots, tournaments, and honoring us in the process. And they have facilitated funds that allow us to do these interventions. People ask us why we do these interventions. The answer is because they work. Because you're bringing American heroes together, but they're all afraid to be there. It's really cool how that works. Lisa.
I just want to go back to, because I didn't catch you when you first said it, but you were talking about virtually what it sums up to be is boundaries. Let's talk about boundaries. That is a huge thing, you know, like you were talking about how can we help somebody and they take and take and take, but they don't do what they say, they lie about it, whatever, you know. That's all about boundaries.
I don't disagree with that. How do you make people do what they're not going to do or are afraid to do or ashamed to do or embarrassed to do or believe negative ramifications are going to come to them if they open their kimono up about it? I think, you know, when we do the trips, it's a safe place. You don't have to talk. You just have to show up and you have to listen. And I don't think we've ever had a time where at some level, I mean, in some cases, somebody might take somebody away just privately to another room and talk to them. This last intervention we did, the ladies got together. I thought that was remarkably powerful. And you all learn from it. Lisa, as you know, get some triggers from it. But in the end, can we see that little puppy? Are you seriously kidding me? Just put that dog right up to that camera. I just want to see that delinquent dog. I'm proud of you guys. It's oh my gosh.
There he is.
Yeah, and he looks like a troublemaker, and he looks adorable. Are you kidding me? What did you name him?
Ah,
Tucker.
Tucker. Absolutely perfect.
this
Is
is
he
Tucker,
is
Mr.
he
Tucker.
is he growing by the hour? Because his paws look like he's going to get there.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Is
Almost
that
as big as my
crazy?
hand.
So who's
Say
doing
hi,
the
Tucker.
who's who's doing the training there? Yeah,
We actually hooked up with a guy with Adventures for Heroes, I think. No, Heroes Wildlife Adventures. And so they actually will pay a trainer to work with Will to train Tucker. So Will will do most of the training to be able to develop the better bond.
beautiful.
And then he'll be fine-tuned as we keep going along. But
Oh, that's
the
beautiful.
first initial will be Will, and then we'll just fine-tune him with some more professional people, and then he'll be 100% within a year or so. He'll be just like Barrett was. But
Absolutely.
yeah, so
Absolutely.
we hooked up with somebody through a friend, and that's what we're gonna do now.
Again, very powerful for both of you.
I'm sorry,
Right.
I missed that. Would you tell me the name of that? We lost Daniel's service dog last year. Would you tell me the name of that organization again that you said?
It's called Heroes Wildlife Adventures.
Very interesting.
The guy that runs it is named Otis. He's a phenomenal human being, does a lot. But if you already have a dog, he'll help pay to get your dog trained. If you don't, he has resources to help put you in touch with people that you could potentially purchase one from, and then he would help you with the training. So he's got a lot of hookups all across the board with different organizations with service dogs and other things. Another cool thing he does for any of the veterans that are interested, he does a lot of hunting trips and fishing trips and stuff as well for veterans. So those are very, very cool. Will actually has a VSO friend here in Tennessee that he went to a deer camp with, and that's how I found Otis, was through a guy named Neil. But feel free. I'll send the information to Debbie, and anybody that wants it could reach out to Debbie and get it from Debbie too, so that way she'll have it. But Otis is really cool. And real quick, one of the things Otis is doing, and I thought this was amazing, is he just got a grant to buy 250 benches to put in local parks in Indiana, which is where he lives, with the suicide prevention number on them. And so he was going to put these in all of his local parks so that when somebody sits down, if they're feeling vulnerable, there's a number on that bench for them to call. I'd never heard of that before, anybody doing that. So I was impressed. I was like, that's a really, really cool idea.
That is a really cool idea and sounds like a really great operation he's running, and
Yes.
one that is so critical. Dogs, therapy, people, oh my goodness, that's just life-saving and life-changing.
And the sad thing is one of the things Otis likes to have, just for his records, obviously, because he's a 501c3 as well, is a letter from the VA just saying that, he had a previous service dog, because I do this for Will. I'm like, y'all met his previous service dog. All I need is a letter stating that the dog helped Will so that he can have it in his files for helping Will get the dog trained. The VA does not recognize service dogs for PTSD. They refuse to recognize a dog for PTSD. They say it does not help the veteran at all. And I had a big long exchange. Needless to say, they caved and they're writing a letter now because I said I beg to differ. A dog does help a veteran with PTSD. That is a
Ask any
straight up.
veteran.
Yes. Yes. So yeah, the VA themselves does not recognize service dogs for any veteran that struggles with any sort of mental health which is wild in my mind because
That's crazy. Yeah,
they just,
like I said, my husband, we had his service dog for 13 years before she passed away last year, and he wasn't able to go into restaurants or movie theaters or anything like that without her. So
yep.
that's just insane.
I will bring up really quick because I found this out and this is really cool. I got to do a little bit more investigating, but Congress is trying to put through a pilot program with the VA where they're going to start training service dogs for veterans with PTSD and mental health issues. And it will be a 1.5-year pilot program. And any of the veterans that graduate from that, the VA has to cover the medical costs for the dog for the rest of the dog's life.
That's incredible. And that's about, 50 years behind the eight ball.
Yes, I agree.
It's
And
so
it's
it's so
now starting.
staggering. In one respect, they'll talk about that, and in the other respect, they don't want to recognize it. You just can't beat the catch-22. It's staggering to me. If we had an ounce of the money that those guys have, why do you think there are so many nonprofits that got formed throughout the country? Because they're making up the difference. They're making up the difference. Not all VAs are bad, not all are good, but at the end of the day, that ought to be the best care in the freaking country.
Yep.
And
I was so shocked when they wrote back and they're like, we don't recognize that. And I'm like, but we have like over 20 a day. And you're telling me you don't think that a dog helps a veteran with PTSD or mental illness. I'm like, you just do a local survey in your VA and each one of them, and you'll be astounded by the numbers that come back saying that a dog, just any sort of interaction with a dog, helps a veteran tremendously. So I was extremely floored. I went above the people's head at the VA for Will, and I was just like, we're not doing this. And so actually Otis told me there is a very hidden rule that the VA doesn't like to acknowledge, but they are supposed to, they don't have to write that they recommend a service dog, but they can write that they support a service dog for a veteran with PTSD or mental health issues. And so when Otis told me that, I wrote them and I was like, well, so once I got that information and input it into the little email format and sent it through the portal to them, they came back with, will you just get us what he would like in the letter and we'll write you the letter? And I said,
excellent.
sure. So persistence pays off, but
It
it's
does.
just amazing to me that you'll hear the VA go on news and stuff like that saying we're doing all we can to help our veterans. And I'm like, but you're not, because you refuse to even write a simple letter that could save a life.
It's there are some throughout the country that are extremely good. There are some that are extremely bad. Several of the people on this call have more than experienced that in real time in a really bad way. If they really want to, change the system, ask the people who can tell you about it and their experiences because they're not shy about talking. I think that's, to be honest with you, that's one of the 7 triggers of veteran first responder suicide.
Yep.
Is in this case for veterans, the VA, because they don't want, many of them, my goodness, many of them don't want to go through the aggravation to even fight for their benefits. And
Yeah.
many don't, or many have waited years to go ask for their benefits because they don't
Will
want to
wouldn't do it. Yeah, Will wouldn't do it. For years he wouldn't do it. And finally it was just me looking at him one day and I'm like, dude, it was a job. You did a job, you got hurt on the job. It's no different than a civilian working a job and getting hurt. They get their disability if they get hurt on a job. Take it. It's there. Like make them pay for what they're required to pay for. You went in one way, you came out another way, and your life is forever changed. It's never ever going to be the same. So they broke you. So now they should help supplement your income for what they did to you. And you're right in the aspect of a lot of veterans get discouraged because a lot of the stuff that's happened, and we've gotten to the process where we're at, and Will's gotten his benefits and he's got the service dog, is because I pushed it. It's because I've done all the legwork, because he just would give up, just like most every veteran. They're just gonna be like, it's done. Like, this is ridiculous. I don't want to deal with it. So it's insane to me that they do that to the veterans, knowing that they will give up because they just don't ever feel like they deserve any of that stuff.
Well, if they really want a suggestion, Mary, I'll be right with you. Hire a veteran.
Right.
Do the job at the VA. I don't know, what a concept.
Yes.
Years ago, I won't even go there. It's too sad of a story. Mary, over to you.
You're too cute. Is that a service that we offer, Debbie, as part of our
Therapy dogs?
therapies? Yeah.
I strongly support it. It's not one of the 7 triggers. It's one of the cures. But
Right.
in terms of what we do, it's the urgent need. It's the drug alcohol rehab, it's the counseling, it's the traumatic brain injury treatment, it's oxygenation to the brain. It's kind of like if you got a headache and a stomach ache and you say, well, they both hurt, so why don't you take care of both of them? An animal is critical. There's no doubt about it, in my opinion, 1000%. It just doesn't meet the core need of suicidal in terms of first, they got to want it. Second, we want to get them to the treatment that we can. And it's not a one-stop shop. It's a multi-layered facet place
Right.
of studying to that. And then the end result would be to get them to get the animal. And there are the resources that specialize in that, Mary. That's the only reason.
Okay, but we do have that information to pass along to them after they've gone through their other treatments?
I don't pass that along unless we're asked them. To be honest with you, I'd refer to somebody, you'd ask you in this case to Charity to say, where'd you send him, who this guy is, and give me a contact. I got a guy that wants a dog. I haven't,
Okay.
I can't say that, the people that contact us, one, are afraid to come on this screen. I understand why. Two, called privately, but you are addressing the most personal, critical issues that are a direct result of keeping them alive. That's our sole mission. There are
Gotcha.
plenty of other beautiful resources out there that we are always happy to send you to. And actually, Charity, maybe you can hook me up with this guy Otis. I'd love to visit with him and talk about what we can do to help facilitate what he's doing. It's just one more lane, Mary, that doesn't meet the need of what we're trying to do, which is
Gotcha.
to stop the epidemic of veteran and first responder suicide. Dogs
Sure.
are
So
therapy.
that's not something that we have at our intrusive interventions. We don't have service dogs that show up with other veterans
Oh,
or,
they have showed up, yeah. They brought dogs. I mean, the last intervention we did,
You
Charity,
did.
and he was a huge, gigantic, beautiful, fabulous asset. So they are most welcome to do that.
Okay.
We've had several that do. So it's
you.
not that. It's about it's one more side of a program in an entity all its own to be able to facilitate getting a therapy dog because there's training and upbringing and rules and all that stuff, which is just not an avenue we've gone down or going to. And they're
Yeah.
very expensive. So
I
understood.
think the other side to that too, though, Mary, is that once we get these people that reach out for help, that's when, as a team, we take them under our wings and we share these different resources with them, and it's not something that the charity necessarily does for them, but we are the hands and feet that can share that have the own personal experience with it.
Right, but we should still be a resource. I'm sorry, I should shut up. I'm shutting up now.
Mary, no. It's almost talking the same language in a different country. The dog therapy is immense. It is immense. And anybody that asks for it, we would just refer them to somebody who has taken and did. We did it for several years. We brought one of the lead guys to one of our events, and he was our keynote speaker about it. But he knows and does and lives and eats and breeds dogs and treatment and how to make them adapt to a family and teaching them how to do all those things. It's just another lane after the service that we provide. I'd love to be able to do it all. Just give me the VA, give me their money, I'll hire the team and we'll do everything, okay? But you got to pick and choose what you can handle. And dealing with the 7 triggers of veteran suicide is about as much as anybody can handle, in my opinion. And so it's not that we're not willing to open up that lane. If you want to go host it on behalf of AMF, go do the research on it, tell me who the best in the country are, and we'll offer that. That's a cure after we get them through all the treatment. Does that make sense? I hope I'm explaining that well. Maybe not.
You are, and I appreciate that. I appreciate what you're saying. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. Would you ever want to deprive somebody of that? It's a whole other lane. It's a whole other avenue for funding. It's a whole other avenue for how long do you have to get? Where's the animal? Are you qualified? It's an entire program. It's an entire, oh my goodness, I don't even know. Maybe Charity, you could answer, but if you have a dog that is therapy ready to go to a veteran, they've put a ton of money and a ton of time into that animal. It's
It's
like
like-
Charity and Will right now
It's
with
like
this one.
35 to 40. You can look anywhere between 25 to $40,000, depending on what you're training the dog to do for you. That's how expensive it can run. It does take, if you get a dog that's fully trained with everything that you want them to do, you're looking at 2.5 years of training, and you usually don't get that dog until they're that age, depending on the avenues. We're choosing a little bit of a different route. because we don't want to send him away for that long, which is why we're going a little bit more personal with it. But it is extremely, extremely expensive. It's a huge waiting list. Everybody that we looked into trying to get a service dog from, it was like at least a year to 2 year waiting list for it because it's such a big thing. I will chat with you down the road, Debbie, because Will and I actually have an idea about service dogs on our own. But it is extremely expensive. So, I mean, if you don't have that avenue to explore, which what we do with AMF, we focus different roads. It does. It's just going to get expensive. It's a lot of work. The gentleman you were talking about that you had before, Jeff there at your own ear, he
Yes.
actually is retired now.
I
And got out of that and gave and donated all of his stuff he used for dog training to a local shelter. Because he's in Tennessee now too, so I follow him a little bit more. But it does, it's a lot of work. It's like 100 hours a week to even, operate something along that line. And the biggest thing is that expense because you're with them for the full 2 years, you're with them 24/7 and you have to train them consistently. So if somebody wants one, that's part of it, but it's very hard to even find grants to even help you get a service dog. And a lot of the places that train the service dogs don't give them away for free. Once you're approved, you have to pay to get that dog. So it's expensive. We've only run across a couple of them that you could get one. Donated, I guess you could say, to you. But like I said, that's a 2 year waiting list. And a lot of these veterans don't have 2 years to wait.
It
So
would be,
if you can afford to get a puppy on your own and you can find somebody to help you train it, that's a good route to go. That's all we did with Will's first dog. We hired somebody to help us and he was fantastic. You could take him everywhere. Unless you dropped Will off someplace and then he just whined and acted like a baby. Just ask Lisa. But you can do that route too. There's a lot of routes out there, but I agree with you. The avenues and the stuff that we do right now with AMF, putting the service dog aspect into there would just be drawing away from other avenues that we focus on. It's a great avenue, but it would just draw away from that, and the expense would be huge.
it's all good stuff. I bet there's other lanes we could still talk about that would benefit. There's no doubt about it. It's when you take on something, and to be honest with you, I grew into this, Mary. I didn't. I was a female civilian in a military world full of men, and to start a charity, it became like, do you want to give me some money and I'll give it to the chaplains fund? It didn't float my boat, and so I wasn't welcome on post as a female civilian, other than to hand them money. And it just didn't work for me, to be honest with you. It pissed me off. And so I got a little more aggressive and by the grace of God, met some incredible people at Fort Carson, and then that grew. I saw firsthand what was going on. It was during the height of Iraq. I wasn't always starting out with this charity to do prevention of veteran suicide. I started out to just pay honor because I had a brother that was dishonored when he got out of the military and when he served. And I hated that. I started the charity thinking he would like that. He didn't like that. I didn't expect that. I didn't expect to go into this world. But after I served my time at Fort Carson, it was a horrendous time. I didn't expect to be burying kids like Michelle's son. I didn't expect to be going to the WTU, the Wounded Transition Battalion, where we had 7 suicides in 6 months. Your life sometimes takes on a passion based on your life's experiences.
I
And over the
remember,
years-
I remember all this. I followed you up
Yeah, I know.
for this whole thing.
And if at that time a dog had come to me, because I love animals, and so I probably would have opened a dog charity, an animal charity, lost animals. I could see me doing that in a heartbeat. I'd love to do that. But my heart is here. My life has been here for 21 years, and as much as I'd love to do that, so there's so many wonderful ideas and things that we could and should be doing. I don't know why it's so hard as charity defines it. I know that's a fact. And that's unfortunate, because animals can be such a critical ally to
Right,
any of
and
us.
I didn't mean it as an idea. I was just curious, as if
Yeah.
you have
yeah,
the
it's wonderful.
information
Yeah.
And when they're done with their therapies, are we able to pass along that
Well, for
information?
example, the guy she was just describing is somebody I would have passed him to. And I forgot his name now because it was a couple of years ago. He actually took over our fundraiser that night, and he did dog demos and all kinds of things. I had to get on with an agenda, but the bottom line is to hear now from Charity. You know, he's done this for a lot of years. You know, it's sad to hear that, but you know, if you find others, send it to me. And someone you think is good with animals, I'd be very glad to keep that as a resource should anybody have a want or interest in pursuing a therapy dog, you know? So, and you know, guys, that's how we learn how to grow the program. It helps to, every time we do an intervention, you know, you learn something from somebody that you didn't hear a time before. As you all know, it's just a kind of incredible experiences that ebbs and flows with time, and the resources, of course, are a huge factor about what money do you have to do what in your program. So a lot of things to think about, but certainly all good. Michelle.
Actually, I was just going to tell Charity when we were talking about stupid things the VA does. I know Debbie knows this, but I had to go to the VA for something because as a Gold Star, we were given certain things as I was my son's beneficiary, and they canceled a few things and told me I had to go to the main VA office. And after waiting 4.5 hours to see the casualty assistance expert, I was told that my Gold Star expired.
Oh,
Remember that, Debbie?
that was
So,
such crap. I forgot about that. Oh
and
my
I
God.
forget, I think it was Ed Perlman, some congressman called me and said, how should we handle that? I said, hire a Gold Star. My mom, well, you
Hire
remember,
you. Oh my God. So
nobody,
awful.
yeah, so they told me my Gold Star expired. My mom
Oh my
lost her,
God.
my mom lost her stuff, and yeah, it was, but, and that was their expert. So Charity, they do a lot of stuff that it makes absolutely no sense.
I forgot about that, Michelle. You got so many stories of along the way, and you know, even walking across America, I still can learn more from you. It's I don't think people ever take the time to stop and think about what they say before they say it, you know.
They don't.
Staggering, staggering. Well, guys, we pass another week on this. I'm hoping that other people will watch and benefit from it. Spread the word, please do. Lisa, thank you for helping and getting that orchestrated. And anybody got any final comments or questions or concerns before we call it a night? I guess we address the issues for tonight. As always, thank you for all you guys do. We're coming up on that Vietnam reunion. I think Rose knows, but I think it's around 60 or something. Spouses that are coming, kind of phenomenal. Rose has busted it hard to really do some wonderful things for this event. So I'll keep you guys updated on it. You know, anybody in trouble, of course, reach out to us. Anybody got any questions or concerns before we call her a night?
Debbie, if there's anybody watching this, how can they reach out to us for help if they need it?
Well, it's real simple. If you take the hashtag AMFGy6, it takes you right to our website. There's it describes who we are, what we do, videos, applications, fill it out. It's pretty simple to get around. Hashtag AMFGy6, American Military Family. We'll both get you there, AmericanMilitaryFamily.org. My phone number is on that screen, 303-746-8195. You want a personal email, it's deb@amfgy6.org. Reach out, take the first step. The first step is to reach out. And there are a lot of people in this room and that represent this charity that have got a story probably better off and worse off than yours. So don't be afraid to reach out. Thank you for that lead, Lisa. I appreciate it. To all of you, thanks for being here. Thanks for all you're doing. I'm proud of you. Charity and Will, congratulations. Good job. Good night, everybody.